In part 1 of this video series, I detailed Donald Trump's legal cases and suggested that if he was convicted and sent to jail, it could be the catalyst for a type of civil war. Since then, all of his legal cases have been deferred until after the election and inauguration, excepting the hush money case. He's scheduled to be sentenced for his convictions on that case on November 26th. I think it's unlikely that he will be given jail time for that, so these cases will have less of an impact in the upcoming months. In the short term, the most likely catalyst will be the election itself. It's going to be a close race, and I think it'll be disputed regardless of the outcome. And there will be legal challenges and attempts in Congress to change the results. And there will be some civil unrest in the streets while it all plays out. Once the legal cases are resolved, I think there will be a peaceful transition of power in the political realm, but there will be an increased dissatisfaction on the part of the losing side that will not easily be resolved. Suppose Donald Trump wins the election. If the past is any indication, the people on the left will attempt to obstruct the Trump administration in any way possible and harass and possibly attack members of the administration. In general, I think we'll see a continuation of the departure from traditional legal and political norms, including the refusal of courts to consistently rule based on the law regardless of the issue or the persons involved. A few examples. At the federal, state, and local level, we've seen prosecutions and civil suits that would not have gone forward for defendants not named Donald Trump. We've seen disparate treatment given to violent rioters depending on the political views of the rioters. For decades, federal judges and Supreme Court justices have based decisions not on the Constitution or enacted laws, but they've reimagined them in terms of what they believe is social justice. The enactment of meaningful legislation on important issues at the federal level has given way to executive orders by presidents and administrative actions by executive agencies in recent years, subverting the political process. Democrats have threatened to eliminate the Senate filibuster, add D.C. and Puerto Rico as new states, and pack the Supreme Court. We've seen, in general, bloated governments incapable of performing their most basic functions. And we've seen the executive branch of government preferring not to enforce laws that the president or the bureaucrats involved don't like. This is just some of the examples of the government corruption and incompetence that have led to record-low public trust. This graph from Pew Research shows trust in government from surveys starting in 1958 to this year. You can see that it peaked in 1964 at 77% and dropped to 16% in 2023. This lack of trust and political polarization will cause what I would describe as a civil fracture as opposed to a war. A people that doesn't trust its government eventually will not follow the dictates of that government, and that's how I think the civil fracture will begin. This won't be a conflict that will attempt to gain territory by force, so you won't see General Bannon and Sergeant Walls facing off in a Gettysburg-style battle. The two sides will not be geographically separated, they will all be mixed in together. And it won't necessarily erupt in widespread violence. I think it will take the form of what I call official disobedience. There will be a federal court decision, a Supreme Court decision, an executive order, or even federal or state legislation that a state or local government will refuse to abide by. They would do this because they think they have the backing of other states and the majority of their citizens. We've seen this already with some states and localities refusing to cooperate with the federal government regarding immigration. It'll go beyond lack of cooperation to outright defiance of legal requests or orders. It could relate to immigration, transgender treatments for children, abortion, or any other controversial issue. This would be the dreaded constitutional crisis. That term is the Armageddon scenario that politicians and media outlets like to warn about. But courts and politicians have been ignoring, deriding, and degrading constitutional authority for decades, and this is the next logical step. This is largely speculation, of course, so I would like to hear your thoughts. One more thought that I have to add at this point. I can't ignore the possibility of another assassination attempt on Donald Trump. A successful assassination of any prominent political candidate will be a catalyst for more political violence. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.